I'm going to show you the little trick that can be throwing your productions off, even if it's electronic music. Okay, so here we are, back in Cubase, and I have this Psytrance project open. It's a little tune I've been working on. A lot of fun. Let me just show you the kick and bass of it real quick so you see what we're dealing with, and I'll get into why this is good, but we can maybe make it a little bit better, depending situationally on our project and what we like in terms of taste and sounds and stuff like that. It's all subjective. So this is what we're dealing with here. I think it's safe to say that that kick and bass is fairly solid, right? Here's it in context with the entire mix as of the moment. Okay, so I like that. I can live with that. You know, and I'm kind of done with the kick and bass side of things, or so I thought. You notice little things, and just in the spirit of, you know, experimentation and trial and error and having fun, I got to tinkering around again because I was like, well, you know, this is good, but I wanted to experiment more with phase because I always typically, if you're anything like me, you'll worry about phase and maybe say like a rock project more than you would an electronic project because, you know, everything is more programmed and, you know, you would kind of just mistakenly think, oh, well, everything is fairly in phase, and if it sounds good, it is good, and that's generally a decent rule of thumb to go by, as much of a cliche as it is. However, what we're going to do here is we're going to take our bass and we're going to solo this channel. So now all we have is this. Again, that's solid. That's a solid Psytrance bass. We're at a slower, more progressive kind of tempo, but it works. So we can have a little bit more low end here, but we don't want too much. This is sounding pretty good though. Has a nice warm low end, but it's not too overblown, and it has a nice little transient crisp to it. But in the case of experimentation, we want to see what maybe flipping this phase sounds like. So we're going to flip the phase on this track. So this is what it sounds like without any phase flipping. And now I'm going to phase flip it. Complaints over that. But then, in the case maybe you wanted more low end, or maybe you wanted a slightly different sound, we'll just flip the phase on the bass again. That's why it's important to be really careful with your low end, so EQ, compress as necessary, but also check your phase, because sometimes that could offer an EQ move in of itself, like it does here. This is really good either way. It's a subjective preference at this point, but I think I'm going to go with it with the phase flipped, because I like it a little bit fuller. But we're cutting a little too much at, this is at 63 hertz right here, so not quite 70. And I mean, we can play with that. Let's just play with it. Let's just experiment. That's what this is all about, right? Okay, engage EQ. Tightens that up a lot. It sounds great if you wanted to. Especially if we think in context of, with this style of music, dance music, that this will most likely be played on large systems and in clubs and stuff like that. Well, we want it to be prepared for that environment. So if we have a lot of low end build up, it's literally doing just that. It's building up over time, and we don't want that. That's going to sound very muddy and less clean on, honestly, most systems. Even your little earpods or AirPods or headphones or whatever, you'll hear that and you'll, whoa. You know, and hopefully, if you're listening on good monitors or headphones right now, you're hearing that. Just going to add things back in. So here we go, flipping. that. So yeah, I'm gonna leave that like that. But what this is actually doing in the physical sense, so if you need a visual representation, so if you look at these, right now, these are actually in phase. The kick and bass are in phase with one another when everything is disengaged, because it's not actually updating the visual side of things. Nice. And then if we actually take some of these audio files, and I'm just going to loop that really quick, and I'm going to invert this phase. Now watch this audio file. We're going to invert that 180 degrees. See how that worked? And you can hear that difference. It's the same thing. It's doing the same thing that we were doing on our mixer channel, just altering and changing the absolute phase there from 0 to 180 degrees. But you could see if we have this on, and now, well, these are actually canceling each other out. Why? You wouldn't think that would work. But that's kind of the point of this video, is showing you pay attention to your phase, but also don't downplay it to the degree where you think, oh, hey, out of phase is going to sound out of phase. It sounds better because it's doing a weird kind of phasey EQ move that actually sounds musical. So I think it's a very underplayed thing. Phase is super underplayed and underused. It's very underrated. And phase, literally throughout any genre of music, especially in your low end and your low mids, something to really keep an eye out on. You heard just how much of a difference this is making in this example here. This is the trick. This is the big trick to a lot of productions. It's just kind of checking and experimenting with things like that, because you never know, it might just end up sounding fuller. Like here, I don't have an explanation to that. It just does. Some things won't sound the same. Like if you were to do this, say, on another track, and okay, same kind of tempo and setup, but same genre, but you do the same moves, it might sound thin and hollow because, well, even though you're inversing the phase the same exact way, it doesn't sound the same. So it's on a track by track basis, no pun intended. It's very subjective, but it's also one of those things where you just have to play with it. Always check it. And a lot of people, even experienced guys, will forget to check the phase. And then all of a sudden, well, why isn't my kick and bass knocking like it should? Well, check your phase. So that is my soapbox rant for today. I hope you guys learned something from this or got inspired from this. If you have any questions or have any other cool techniques and want to nerd out about audio engineering related things like this, let me know in the comments. Yeah, we're just going to keep on going and having fun with this. I will catch you guys on the next one.